SRN News. I'm Rich Thomason in Washington. He says his name is Carlos, and he's the man detained and questioned by authorities investigating the Nancy Guthrie disappearance. His home in Rio Rico, Arizona, it's about an hour south of Tucson, was searched as well. Carlos, who says he's innocent of any wrongdoing, was later released. In British Columbia, there's been a deadly mass shooting. Total of 9 people killed at 2 locations, one of them a school, the other a nearby home. The shooter, identified only as a female, also died apparently of a self-inflicted gunshot wound. The Federal Aviation Administration is closing the airspace around El Paso International Airport in Texas for 10 days, grounding all flights to and from the airport. Special security reasons are cited, but no further details have been provided. Watching Wall Street, Dow futures are up 77 points. NASDAQ futures ahead 51. More details, srnnews.com.
Here's some great news. If you missed the deadline to sign up for health insurance, or more importantly, if you're just not happy with what you've got, you still have a choice. It's called MediShare, and it's proven for more than 30 years. It is proven. And we know this from member surveys. People love it, which is why it's grown to hundreds of thousands of members across the country. One big factor, besides the peace of mind that comes from being a MediShare member, the savings is tremendous. It is not atypical for a family of 4 switching to MediShare to save more than $8,000 a year. It is a difference maker. And you can get 24/7 telehealth. You get access to more than 1 million providers and hospitals. There are flexible options, too, for your budget. So if you think you're stuck with a high-cost plan that doesn't have much to offer, think again. You could join MediShare anytime. So call them today and check it out. There's no pressure. They're super easy to talk to. Here's the number. 844-45-BIBLE. That's 844-45-BIBLE. 844-45-BIBLE.
Winter is tough. Be tougher with Cub Cadet X Series snowblowers. With multiple levels of snow clearing power, this lineup is built to handle harsh conditions. With features like push-button electric start and power steering, you'll make quick work of whatever winter throws your way. Be ready when winter hits with the Cub Cadet X Series, engineered for the extreme. Head to your locally owned Cub Cadet dealer, Colby Ag Center LC, at 305 East Horton for expertise in finding the right equipment for whatever your winter extreme may be. With NWKS Radio News, I'm Connor Schuh. The Northwest Kansas Area Agency on Aging received a grant to provide meals to older Kansans in remote areas on Monday. The Area Agency on Aging's nutrition program, Homestead Nutrition Project, will use the grant funds to provide meal services to residents in remote areas of Northwest Kansas where meal delivery has previously been unavailable. To be eligible for the service, an individual must reside in Northwest Kansas, be at least 60 years old, and complete an eligibility assessment. Recipients will be allowed delivery of up to 10 meals every 2 weeks, with meals available for order to meet dietary requirements of individuals. Meal service through the grant is available through June 30th, 2026, or as long as the grant dollars are available. For these and other stories, go to nwksradio.net.
Today, skies will be partly cloudy with light south winds of 5 to 10 miles per hour, increasing 10 to 20 miles per hour with highs in the middle 50s. Lows tonight will stay above freezing with winds turning to a west-northwest direction around 10 miles per hour. Tomorrow, clouds will be on the increase and winds will turn to an east-northeast direction of 5 to 15 miles per hour as the trough moves over the mountains, and highs will be in the low 60s and lows 30 to 35. Friday, light rain showers are possible later in the day and overnight, and highs will be around 65, and lows will be right around freezing, with winds from the southeast turning to the northeast 10 to 20. Models continue to agree that the system will track through Oklahoma and Texas. Thus, moisture locally will be limited to a quarter inch or less, with better moisture in southwest Kansas and along the Oklahoma border. Valentine's Day will become mostly sunny, with highs 50 to 55. This meteorologist Chris Romick, the NWKS Radio Weather Center.
At Ray Community District Hospital and Clinic, they believe in promoting healthier living through compassionate quality care. From state-of-the-art maternity care to life-saving emergency services, their dedicated team is there for you and your family. Whether it's managing diabetes, navigating recovery, or receiving specialized treatments, they're committed to your well-being. Discover the difference a community-focused hospital can make. Visit rayhospital.org today to learn more. Ray Community District Hospital and Clinic. Your health, our priority.
Are pests making your home or business uncomfortable? Call Pest Away in Goodland, Kansas, serving all of Northwest Kansas. They provide top-notch pest control services to keep your space safe and pest-free. From ants to rodents, termites to spiders, our expert team is here to help with effective, safe, and affordable pest control solutions. Don't wait. Call Pest Away today at 785-728-7166 for fast, reliable service. Your home or business deserves the best protection.
Start the new year in a new Chevrolet from Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland, where the deals are ready to roll. Right now, get behind the wheel of a Chevy Trailblazer with 3.9% APR for well-qualified buyers, or step up to a Chevy Silverado 1500 and score up to $6,250 in rebates with an eligible trade-in. It's the perfect time to upgrade your drive and start the year strong with the power and reliability of Chevy. Make your New Year's move today at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland, Kansas. Shop online anytime at hurlchev.com.
If you're shopping for a banking institution, visit with Equity Bank of Hoxie, Grinnell, and Quinter, Kansas. The Equity Bank is heavily invested in local business and activities contributing in many ways back to their community. Their employees are involved with many organizations and area events. Plus, a lot of experience comes with that staff. You'll find valuable local assistance when you bank at the Equity Bank of Hoxie, Grinnell, Quinter, and other locations in Western Kansas. The Equity Bank, member FDIC.
Since 1989, families and individuals have relied on L&W Insurance for quality coverage. Walt and Linda Linthicum stay updated on insurance coverage for you. It's always a good feeling knowing you're dealing with knowledgeable and trained professionals. Call for your free quote 800-892-4245. L&W Insurance in Goodland and St. Francis. Toll free 800-892-4245. L&W Insurance.
You ready? One, two, three, four!
It's time for the Morning Blitz with Ross Volkmer.
The amount of money getting thrown around to quarterbacks who haven't done diddly squat is amazing to me.
And Connor Schuh.
He's a new guy.
The High Plains only local sports talk show. Broadcasting live on Goodland's Rocket 102.5 and video streaming on YouTube, Facebook, and X.
Who's got it better than us? Nobody!
Covering it all from the preps.
He's at the 10, the 5, he dives for the end zone, he's in! Touchdown, Cowboys!
To the pros.
Line drive, left field, base hit! Here comes McMahon, he'll score! Ball game!
The Blitz is presented by Hurl Chevrolet GMC, Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware, and F&B Bank. Along with
Equity Bank of Hoxie, Quinter, and Grinnell, the Insurance Agency, Pest Away LLC, Topside Portables and Pupping, and the Farmer State Bank in Oakley.
Let's go to work.
Clock is at 10. Shot clock, that is. Garcia, the drive in the lane. Plays it out. Klassen's alone for a 3-ball. Money!
Short corner, left side, drop step. Bearcave, reverse layup. Good! He's fouled by Jacobson of Purdue, and Bearcave with a little juice here in the second half.
Warren Linton at the top of the key. Linton, they'll go over right side. Alley Cure, corner 3, up and just a little short. Rebound loose. Bierman ends up with it. Bierman goes back up, puts it in, and one for Hope Bierman.
Off it comes now to High Z, and the Horned Frogs have beaten the 5th-ranked Iowa State Cyclones here.
It's off the back of the rim, no good. Ivasic the rebound with 4, with 3. Wagner across half court with 2, with 1, throws it up. No good, and the Badgers win it. They come to Champaign. They take down Illinois in overtime.
Good Wednesday morning, everybody. February the 11th. Hope your day's off to a good start. Glad to be with you here on Rocket 102.5, KLOE, as well as NWKSradio.net and the Hurl Chevrolet GMC video stream. Full show ahead for you today. Glad once got to get to some high school basketball results from last night. We continue to wind down closer and closer to the end of the winter sports season. I know it's kind of hard to believe, but you look at it, and we've got wrestling, postseason wrestling getting going this weekend with the girls. The boys will follow the following weekend. State wrestling here at the end of February. Get to the end of February. That's the end of the regular season for high school basketball in a couple of weeks, and the postseason begins there. So, yeah, we've got busy times are ahead, but the winter sports season, believe it or not, starting, even though it doesn't feel like winter, we should call it the spring sports season.
Yeah.
Or early summer sports season. Is kind of winding down. But how you feeling this morning? You still look like you're powering through.
We're awake. We're awake.
You're awake today?
That's the end of the gauntlet.
Yeah, I was going to say
the light at the end of the tunnel, Ross, and I'm feeling good.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how are you overall feeling? 4 nights of games in a 5-day span is a pretty tough stretch for anybody, whether it's the athletes, the coaches, or even the broadcasters. So glad to see you're still standing upright.
Yeah, I'm a little tired, I'll admit, but I was talking to Coach Walker on the pregame yesterday, and he's like, I bet you're feeling tired too, because I asked him a question about the four game stretch, and I'm like, that's all you guys. I'm good. I got enough energy for 7 games a week.
Wow, you are a machine. Give you credit. If you got games for 7 games a week, you are a real machine.
I could do it if I wanted to.
That's good. I'm telling you, it would be it's a lot. It's a lot to go back to back to back, then a day off, and then back to back again. So it's a lot of games, no matter what you are calling. But anyway, glad you're with us. Hit us up, FB Bank text line 785-899-2222. So we'll get to high school basketball. We'll talk some college hoops as well. Henry Greenstein's going to stop by from KUSports.com, the Lawrence Journal World. We'll talk with him about the hottest team in college basketball. That would be the Kansas Jayhawks. And we'll get to Henry here coming up in segment 2. But kicking off the show with some high school hoops from last night. Multiple area teams are in action, including Colby and Goodland, meeting for the second time this year on the hardwood in another edition of the Colby-Goodland rivalry. And for the second consecutive time this season, it's Colby that sweeps Goodland. Girls winning 47-42, ending a 6-game winning streak for the Cowgirls, while Colby boys put into a 4-game skid and beat Goodland handily 67-43, the final score there. What were some of your big takeaways from last night's doubleheader of basketball inside the Colby Event Center?
Well, each team, I think, for Colby made shots when it mattered. For the girls, it was a couple of late and ones from Shaylee Holzmeister that I think really put them over the top, and they were able to lock it down defensively. This was it was kind of like the first game, but a little higher scoring, obviously. I mean, the first time the girls teams met, it was 23-20. So you're not going to get a final like that again, really. But it was just a game, pretty much the same game, but more shots seemed to fall. But Goodland, you guys seemed to, well, not get as many offensive rebounds as in that first game. And Colby was stronger on the glass, made some big shots when it mattered, and D'd up. It felt like nobody on the Cowgirls side could really get anything to go, in my opinion, late in that game. And that was partially due to some tough defense from Colby. And it seemed like they were having a little bit of trouble with that zone at the end that Goodland was throwing at Colby, but they figured it out, got the win. That was awesome. And then the boys, I mean, the shot making just throughout the game was incredible. I mean, the Eagles, frankly, just buried you guys in the third quarter. I think the score at the end of that frame was 62-34, and just hitting, I think we hit 10 threes last night as a team, and it was distributed up and down the roster, had 3 guys in double figures. Everyone was chipping in, and it felt like you could kind of feel the energy off the court from Colby. They just seemed like that was their most unified performance of the year, and probably the best I've seen them play all year. They were just locked in on the glass, locked in on shot making, locked in on defense, and there was really not a lot to dig into for either coach on what they didn't like. They were both very happy with their team's performances, Coach Walker and Coach Stevens. So I think everyone on the home side walked home pretty happy, Ross. I don't know about you, but.
Well, I mean, if you're in the black and gold, you're not walking home happy yesterday. I mean, you're not. Now, if you're in orange and black, you're very happy yesterday after what happened.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how you couldn't be. You can't do anything but just give credit to Colby. On the girls' side, I mean, I don't know what it is about this year's Colby Eagle team. I don't know if it's just the right combination or timing or coaching. I can't put my finger on it. I really can't. Goodland on paper, I think, is a more complete basketball team than what Colby is in girls basketball, but it hasn't mattered. Colby has played the way that you have to in order to beat Goodland. And I guess I equal it to the fact that they've played each other so much, and particularly the coaches have faced each other so much in the last few years, that they kind of know what you have to do in order to beat the other. And Yancey Walker has gotten the best of Bill Bierman the last couple of times. And actually now for the last, what would it be? Last 6 times, I think is what it's been now. 5 or 6 times it's been. And in the previous years, and last year you could look and say, well, Colby had the much more experienced group, and their senior class was due. This year, Goodland has the way more experienced group than Colby does, but Colby has found a way to get it done. And Eric Connor, who joins me on the broadcast, was talking about this, and he said, he just thinks the matchup maybe isn't great. What Colby does not match up well with what Goodland does from the Goodland perspective, and that's how you end up getting these games where Goodland falls a little bit short. Credit to Colby. They played a physical style of defense that Goodland, I guess, was not mentally prepared for. I know there were some questions after the game on how the game was called at times, but that's not an excuse. But at the same time, you got to give Colby all the credit. You're right. They did make the big shots down the stretch. Yep. They turn the ball over a decent amount, but they didn't get a lot. Goodland did not get a lot of run out layups like they've done at times when they beat teams. They forced Goodland to work in the half court, and they're not exactly the best half court operational squad. And Goodland may have the size advantage 1 through 5, but doesn't do a great job of using it. Colby did a great job of staying in front. So you can't do anything else but just give a lot of credit to Yancey Walker and his team and how they played in that girls game. They've played great in the 2 matchups against Goodland. Even though I think on paper, they're probably the underdog squad, they've just played really, really well.
Yeah, I mean, Goodland came in ranked number 8 in 3A, and Colby
6th, actually up to number 6 in the recent
6th. Rankings. Okay, and Colby girls hadn't been ranked at all this season, and they've been a solid team, but maybe not quite ranked good for this part. But I mean, you're absolutely right. I think they just played Goodland perfectly, and the defense was probably the part I was most impressed by. They just shut off all the top scorers that Goodland had, and doubling the ball handler consistently. And especially whenever Goodland would try to get down to the low block, there was always 2 defenders to meet whoever it was down there. And it seemed like that totally blew up their plan, and they couldn't really pass out of the post consistently enough. And that forced a lot of turnovers. And I thought that was really probably the big turning point in the game, was that post defense.
Yeah, I mean, Goodland likes to use their size to their advantage, and they just don't get a lot of easy shots against Colby, and haven't in the 2 meetings this year. Like I said, I can't really put my finger on it. It's a really hard thing to decipher because I would have thought, and once again, so much credit to Colby. That was their 4th game in 5 days. I thought, golly, they'll be a little bit tired. And if Goodland just comes out here and throws a couple of punches, they might be able to get this win here. And that was not the case. I mean, Colby played like they were the fresher team. Give them a lot of credit to their girls and to Coach Walker. They played great last night. They did a great job. And Goodland's got to go back to the drawing board. It just, like I said, it just perplexes me. Goodland has beaten better teams, and this is no offense to Colby. Goodland has beaten better teams than Colby this year, but they can't beat Colby. It's like I said, there's just something.
It's a hex.
They can't figure it out this year, and we'll see. They might meet again in the postseason, and maybe that's when
that'd
they
be
figure
awesome.
it out. Maybe not. I have no idea. But yeah, that's a tough pill to swallow for the Goodland Cowgirls. Bill Bierman was not, he wasn't pleased after the game, and I can understand why. It's a frustrating loss. I figured the Cowgirls would play with their hair on fire, and it didn't happen. Credit to Colby. All the credit to them. They played very, very well, and they've done a great job this season against the Cowgirls. They have the potion, not the potion or elixir sounds bad, but they have the game plan on what it takes to knock out Goodland. Kind of like I
know what you mean.
Secret ingredients, the secret ingredients to get it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Kind of thing. And then the boys' game. I mean, shoot. Give all the credit to, like you said, it's hard to beat a team when they're firing on all cylinders, particularly offensively. I think they went either 9 or 10 of 18 from 3 last night. So I mean, they just shot the lights out, and out rebounded the living daylights out of the ball.
Oh yeah.
For the previous few years, Goodland has had a little bit of the size advantage against oppositions. This year, it's not. When your tallest guy on the floor consistently is 6'1", 6'2" on a good day, and you're playing against 6'6", 6'5".
Well, you guys are bringing out a 6'5" kid in the starting lineup, so
right,
there is that.
But at the same time, a guy that hasn't had a lot of experience. No offense.
Fair enough.
But not a lot of experience, but Goodland just has gotten killed on the glass both times they've played Colby, and that's Colby's intensity of getting to the glass, and also their size advantage with Josiah Hoppe and Coben Curry, who I hope is okay. Rolled his
that looks bad.
So, and Colby's got the GWAC Player of the Year this year. I mean, I think Jordan Jones is going to win Player of the Year. When you average 26 points per game, you're probably going to get that. And last night, credit to Hayes TMP. I don't know what they did to slow him down to, 7 or 8 points the night before, but apparently you need to read that game plan and try that again.
Every time he crossed midcourt in that game, I mean, he got about probably the heaviest pressure I've seen all year, just double. And Goodland kind of did that, but I don't think they were giving him as much of a hard time on the perimeter as TMP did, because I feel like it felt like that was easily their biggest focus. TMP was stopping Jordan, and he did a good job of playing point guard and dishing it off to guys in that game. But this time he was able to get a little bit more comfortable early against Goodland and get his shot off. And I think he ended with 25 in the game. And then he was able to also spread it out well, getting his, because Cody Wright had 12, Josiah Hoppe had 14. And again, credit to Hoppe on the glass, especially him. That's another double-double. And he's really coming into his own as a great post player down there. And teams have just struggled to keep him, especially off the glass. I feel like it's pretty often you see him rising over two guys and just ripping a rebound down. That's big for the team.
He's been great. He's fun to watch. He's a great rebounder, and he's got some touch from the outside. He's been a great player. I mean, that was a guy who didn't play really any minutes at all last year at the varsity level. So he's done a great job developing over the last year. But yeah, I mean, there's no, Goodland is, for the lack of a better word, starting over a little bit this year. I know Braylon Mole is kind of the exception to that, because he was an all-league player and played a lot in the last few years. But everywhere else, they're kind of starting over. And even though Colby, to an extent, is too, they just have gotten way more out of their guys. Goodland has two guys that can score the ball, and everybody else is either afraid to score it or just isn't looking to shoot the ball. And you got to have more than two scorers. You got to, because teams can take away two guys. So you got to have other guys that can step up and do it. And it's not happening right now for Goodland, particularly on the offensive end. And give credit to Colby. I think they had 3 guys in double figures last night, if my numbers were correct. And, Cody Wright looks really good, and they got some Caleb Dixon to knock down some threes. And I mean, everybody on that team, as you said, I mean, you would know, you've covered every game this year. They probably played their most complete performance of the season.
I would say so, because you talk about some of the Goodland kids being afraid to score. I think at times, Colby, a lot of the guys on that lineup have been a little, I guess, timid, you could say, to score the ball for a lot of the season. But I think you see a lot of guys starting to kind of come out of their shell almost on offense and starting to get a little bit more aggressive and confident with the ball in their hands, especially Cody in that last game too, because he was getting downhill, hitting some tough layups, and I think he knocked down 1 or 2 threes. He at least hit one in the game, but was very aggressive, and it really seemed to pay off. And then before he went down, Coben Curry was getting pretty aggressive towards the basket as well, because he's a big dude, so he can impose his will on some of those guys, especially for Goodland down low, and he was doing that with Hoppe. So yeah, hats off to the Eagles for getting stuff done. And I think if they can keep playing like this, they're going to be really, really tough to face in the sub-state.
Speaking of sub-state, that is actually a fascinating thing to look at. If you go look at the 3A standings of the Larned sub-state, you talk about just a jumbled mess of teams. I mean, anywhere from the 3 seed right now, currently Lakin, all the way down to, if you want to go Larned and Lion, I'm gonna go to Lions. You've got teams anywhere from 11-8 to 9-7. I mean, you talk about just a jumbled mess of so many teams that are hovering around 500, whether it be Colby at 10-10, Goodland at 9-10, or Scott City at 10-8, and Hoisington with that same record. I mean, there's 2 teams that sit atop of the standings pretty easily, Beloit and Holcomb. But after that, it is just a jumbled mess, probably 3 through 11.
Yeah.
Just a jumbled mess. And one win and one loss could absolutely change where you're going to be, whether you could be at home or you could be on the road in the first round of the playoffs. It's a fascinating race down the stretch here for the final 3 or 4 games, especially on the boys' side. And who knows where you're going to go or who you're going to play. I think it's going to come down to the very last game on
Yes.
20th of February, where if things finally settle in and you're like, okay, well, we know where we're going or who we got to play. But it is just a jumbled mess, which I think is going to lead to an interesting first round of results. I think you're going to see a lot of games come up here in the first round of this postseason on the boys' side in the 3A Larned region, where there could be some, if you want to call it upsets, but your 10-7 game or something like that, the 10 seed win. Because I feel like all
March
the
Madness.
teams, I mean, yeah, to an extent, but I think you're going to have to just kind of see how it's more of the matchup than more about the record or even the seating or the number next to you.
Right.
I think it's going to come down to more of the matchup. I really think there's only really 2 teams that have stood out this year, and that's Beloit and Holcomb. Past that, everybody else is just kind of in the same melting pot. And whoever plays well for a game or two is going to find themselves playing for a sub-state title.
That's right. And I guess, kind of to that point, I feel like Beloit and Holcomb have also played close with a lot of teams in this bracket. And just to use Colby as an example, the first time they played Holcomb, it was a 9-point game. And then when they played Beloit at the Orange and Black, it was a 7-point game. So these teams they're human. So they're pretty good, but I would say they're definitely beatable. So if they catch a team on the wrong night, I mean, they could get knocked out early.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt you catch a team on the wrong night, it could be over. So I continue to watch. I mean, honestly, I continue to just kind of look at it because it doesn't really matter where you sit right now in the postseason standings because it's going to change so much over the next couple of games. You have no idea where you're going to be. But anyway, congratulations to Colby. A sweep of the regular season series over Goodland. Once again, Lady Eagles winning 47-42 and Eagle boys blasting Goodland 67-43 last night. And there was lots of other great games from last night. You had girls results. How about Hoxie? Blew out Trigo 66-46. Rawlins County rolled Weskin 60-26. Quinter beat Wheatland Grinnell 55-48. Wallace County with an upset of Shiloh last night. That was a little bit of an upset, 51-46 for the Lady Wildcats, a winner. A low-scoring affair there between Golden Plains and Hill City. The Bulldogs winning 30-21. Decatur Community beat Norton 52-40, and St. Francis beats Tri-Plains Brewster 59-29. Boys results: Quinter over Wheatland Grinnell 66-35. Weskin over Rawlins County 76-67. Hoxie losing at Trigo 66-23. Decatur Community lost to Norton 75-66. How about St. Francis boys? Congratulations, into 12-game losing streak last night. They beat Tri-Plains Brewster 51-32. And Wallace County with the win over Shiloh 58-32. The final other scores from around the listening area last night in high school basketball. All right, let's get to our first break. When we come back, Henry Greenstein's going to join us next from KUSports.com and the Lawrence Journal World. We'll talk to him about what some people are calling the greatest atmosphere in the history of Fog Allen Fieldhouse in their win over Arizona on Monday night, and where this team stands going into Iowa State, who, by the way, was upset last night by TCU. So the Jayhawks riding high, maybe the hottest team in college basketball. Maybe? I feel like that might be. We'll get with Henry Greenstein, our good friend, next here on the Morning Blitz.
Kick off 2026 ready for whatever winter brings. At Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware in Goodland and Colby, they've got the gear to start the new year strong. Get organized with rugged storage totes. And when the snow starts falling, if it does, power through it with Ego and Craftsman snowblowers. Or if it's just the light stuff, blow it away with Ego leaf blowers. And don't forget ice melt to keep your sidewalk safe all season long. New year, winter ready. Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware in Goodland and Colby. Helpful folks, trusted brands, and everything you need to get it done.
When fraud strikes, every second counts. At FNB Bank, we take your security seriously. Our local team monitors for suspicious activity and responds fast, so small issues don't turn into bigger problems. I'm Jessica Von Little at FNB Bank. We are your first line of defense, protecting you, your money, and your peace of mind. FNB Bank, Local, trusted, here for you. Member FDIC.
It's time for a check of the markets with the Anderson Trade Group on the Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio Network.
Good morning, Jared Law with the Andersons in Overland Park, Kansas with your morning market update. It is Wednesday, February 11th. In the overnight session, March corn down 1.5, 427 a quarter. May down 1.5, 435 3/4. July down 1.5 at 443 1/4. December down a penny at 457 1/4. Soybeans on the March down 2.5 at 11.20. May down to 11.35 1/2. July down 1 1/4 at 11.48 1/4. November up 0.5 cent at 11.07. KC wheat on the March up 2.5 at 5.33. May up 1 3/4 at 5.45 3/4. July up 3/4 at 5.58. Chicago wheat up 1 3/4 at 5.30. Feeder cattle finished yesterday at 364.77 1/2. Live cattle 239.10. Clean hogs 86.85. Crude oil futures up $1.52 a barrel at 65.48. Gold futures up $44.40 an ounce at 4,048.20. Silver up 4.25 at 84.47. U.S. dollar index down about 20 points at 96.90. Dow futures up 236 at 50,508. S&P futures up 4,001 at 7,003. If you need to move any cash drain or want to talk about risk management, you can reach out to myself, Jared Law, Tom Sluto, or Tyler Gush, 913-748-2000. If you're out in Colorado, you can reach out to John Hinkey or John Stiles, 970-744-4484.
The Anderson Trade Group, proud market partners with Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio. Find out more at andersongrain.com. The risk of loss through trading futures and or options is substantial, and each investor or trader must consider whether this is a suitable investment. Past performance, whether actual or indicated, is not indicative of future results. The Anderson Trade Group has no guarantee that the advice given will result in profitable trades.
E15 fuel is the right choice for every kind of driver. For the car enthusiast, E15 has higher octane. For the thrifty driver, E15 is priced lower than regular unleaded. For the nature lover, E15 provides cleaner air. For the shopper who buys local, E15 has more ethanol from our Kansas corn farms. Choose E15 for a higher octane, lower price, and cleaner American fuel. This message from the Kansas Corn Commission. Learn more at kscorn.com.
All the sports you love, all in one place.
Ooh, this will come in handy.
This is the Morning Blitz.
All right, welcome back to the program. Wednesday, February the 11th. It's going to be a warmer day today. Temperature is going to be back into the mid-50s. In fact, it looks like it's warming up as we get closer to the weekend. Temperature is going to be in the upper 50s to 60s. There is a chance of some precip coming up this weekend, but very slight. So I would not hold your breath on that as desperately as we could use some rain out here on the high plains. Golly, it is so dry. Also, got a text message saying we are not on the audio stream, nwksradio.net. Yes, the streaming computer is currently in a reboot and update phase, and you know everybody knows who operates on computers knows how long that will take. We probably won't be on the audio stream, and I apologize for that. But if you want to head over to, of course, our Facebook page, YouTube, or on NWKS Radio or NWKS Sports on X, you can watch the video stream there and get the show if you're outside of the radio listening area. Speaking of technology, I got to bring this up. It's like a public service announcement. I have to bring this up. Can the Colby Event Center please get better internet? Can we please get some better internet inside the Colby Event Center? I'm not bashing anybody or any service or anything. Can we please?
It was also packed in there last night, so that was part of it.
I get it. I get that it's packed. But can we please get better internet? Because here's the thing. It's a metal building, and that's fine. And it's a beautiful building. It's a metal building. Cell service is not great in there. And so we need to have better internet. I have talked to dozens of broadcasters who come into that building. And what is the one thing everybody says? The internet is bad and the cell reception is bad and we can't get great connection. And for us trying to do our jobs in the media, we need those things to work. And
this is true.
Can we please, Colby Event Center, get better internet? I don't care if you got to start another network. If you've got to up the gigs, I don't care. Whatever it is, please, I'm begging you, get better internet. It's not good enough.
Rant of the day.
I'm sorry. I'm not trying to throw anybody under the bus. We've got to get better internet there. I think it is the worst internet spot in the GWAC, and it's the newest building in the GWAC. Come on. We can do better. We can do better. Just my gut reaction on that. All right, enough of my rants here this morning. Let's welcome in our good friend Henry Greenstein from KUSports.com, Lawrence Award. Good morning, Henry. Sorry about that. I had to get that off my chest.
No, that's totally fine. And, you're talking about the GWAC. I've made similar rants in my time about a number of Big 12 arenas. So
let's get into this. I love it. Let's get into this. What's the worst media setup in the Big 12?
Well, okay. I mean, it varies in terms of which aspect of the setup. Like, I think there are some things where the seating and the the delightful food and everything are wonderful. I've just had some really exasperating Wi-Fi moments. It was better this past time, but I remember the first time I went to Lubbock in 2024. It was the game where Bill Self got ejected, and everyone was really eager to hear what he had to say about it. And their subterranean press room just was a total non-entity in terms of Wi-Fi. Like, it was impossible to access the internet. And needless to say, that was not a welcome development after KU got blown out by 29 and Self got ejected. But 9 days ago, last time they were there, they seemed to have cleaned that whole thing up remarkably well. So I have no ill will toward the United Supermarkets Arena at this point. I'm trying to remember specifically which arenas were annoying me this particular time. I don't think it was too bad in Orlando or Morgantown or anything, but this is a universal issue across levels of basketball, and I think it goes far beyond Colby.
Well, good. Once again, I'm not trying to bash anybody or anything, but I think in the year of 2026, we would be able to get a little bit better internet provider and get more gigs, all that stuff. I mean, come on, that's all I'm asking for. At least up the gigs so that, got a lot of things happening in that building, and make it so that we have a little bit more reliable internet, especially if we can't get good cell service in the building. Henry Greenstein, our great guest from KUSports.com, Lawrence Journal World. There was a question on the show on Tuesday morning, Henry, that we were discussing because after Kansas's win over Arizona in what was an unbelievable atmosphere at the Fog, and we'll get more on that in just a minute. But the question was that I had, how many points is playing at Fog Allen Fieldhouse worth? I said 8. I think the Fog Allen Fieldhouse is worth 8 points. What do you think the point total is worth when the Jayhawks play at home, that the home court advantage is?
I think that's a pretty good estimate. I mean, so usually, and I'm not an expert on this, but usually my understanding is in gambling, like a standard home field advantage would be about 3 points. Is that they use the conventional wisdom there? So yeah, I think 6 to 8 makes sense. Let me think about. I mean, if you think about some of the games this year, though, like it could be even more than that. I mean, they were up 20 on BYU at one point. Obviously, ended up letting them in a little bit more later, but yeah, it's far beyond anything in the Big 12, and I've tried to maybe mentally create a ranking of the different atmospheres that I've experienced in this conference. And to this point, I've been to 14 of the 16, and at the end of the month, I'll go to the other 2 in Arizona. So I haven't heard McHale yet, but I definitely think Hilton's good, Marriott Center's good. The aforementioned United Supermarkets Arena probably up there in 3rd or 4th, but Allen is an entirely different level. And the last 2 seasons, I think there were times where it waxed and waned a little bit with people's enthusiasm about the program. But as the vibes have risen to such an extent over the course of this 8-game winning streak, and as people have really believed this is kind of the return of what Kansas basketball has been in years past, the fans have brought the energy, and that with the BYU and Arizona games in particular, it's been some of the best home court advantage that I've ever seen.
And you talk about how that environment's kind of come back to what it used to be. Ross and I have been talking a lot about whether KU's the hottest team in basketball or not right now. What do you think about that statement? Do you think that's true, or is there another team that's kind of a contender for that spot?
Well, if I can be stupid and pedantic, Miami of Ohio hasn't lost a game.
I love that. I love that.
You kind of have to go with them, I feel like. I understand they're doing it against an incredibly weak schedule, and that's why the AP voters haven't brought them up higher than 23 or whatever they are at this point. But yeah, in terms of like high major, high level teams that are contending for the top couple seed lines, it's hard to pick anyone other than KU. You know, Iowa State had been doing pretty well after those back-to-back losses to KU and Cincinnati, which were their only two of the year, but then they inexplicably lost to TCU last night. So I definitely think that KU's in the conversation. Obviously, I don't know a huge amount about like which teams are on the longest winning streak across the country. But if you're not going to go with Miami of Ohio, I have to think the Jayhawks would be the pick. And who knows? Maybe, I guess, players only meetings actually work.
Talk to me about this players only meeting. I haven't heard much news about this. What's the latest scoop on this?
Oh, well, after the 8 games ago, after they lost to West Virginia and were 1-2 in league play and had people wondering if KU was on the bubble and everything, they had a players only meeting. They didn't disclose a whole lot about it. They basically described it as a reiteration of their principles and kind of a recommitment to everything they wanted to be as a team. Melvin Council and Trey White played a big role in putting it together, and in the week since, the players have frequently given that a lot of credit for the surge they're on right now. And you know, it may remind some people of the another famous players only meeting from KU history. I think in the 2018 they ended up winning the national title, had one at the now closed Lawrence establishment, Henry T's. This one was on campus, so it doesn't have a fun location associated with it. But so yeah, if KU continues on this arc, this one may too go down in history, even though they didn't give us a lot of details about it.
Henry Greenstein, our guest, KUSports.com. Is secretly, super secret, Lee, is Bill Self fed up with Darren Peterson, with him missing as many games as he has? And does he love the team that's on the floor competing night in and night out consistently? Even though he cannot say that, but I'm just curious if you can read him, and that's what he may be thinking.
Well, does he love this team? Absolutely. I mean, he's been revitalized. You saw it in the way he celebrated after the final buzzer on Monday, something he doesn't do very often, and the way he honored the crowd for their role and hugged Melvin and hugged Flory and all that. So, absolutely, I think he's loving coaching this team. Would he be loving it more if his star player were available more than 45% of the time? For sure. I think there have been times in press conferences where you can see some frustration coming through. Certainly. I mean, I think about the one where he acknowledged that it was kind of in partnership with Peterson's family that decisions were being made about when to play him. But also, I don't know. I mean, I think I was maybe more concerned with whether KU had violated the Big 12 availability report standards with this last absence of Peterson due to flu-like symptoms, because Self said, and not the availability, and this is the first year of it, so obviously teams are going to make mistakes. But to me, if indeed, as Self said after the game on Monday, they thought Darren was 50-50 as early as Sunday, that should probably go down as questionable on the availability report, not excluded from it altogether. And if they thought there was any chance he wasn't going to play 90 minutes beforehand, then he should have been listed as a game time decision on the availability report. So I think that was probably more in my mind trying to analyze his post-game remark this time than how he personally was feeling about it. Just like, how did this possibly happen that the world didn't learn until 45 minutes before the game that there was any chance that he was not going to play. But yeah, obviously, I think he's not fully pleased about how things have gone, but he said at every possible turn that he thinks Darren himself is doing everything he can to be out there. And this is now just me personally, I mean, flu-like symptoms is a pretty light descriptor. That came straight from KU, a KU spokesperson. That's a pretty light descriptor to apply to your projected number one pick missing a game against the number one team in the country. And so the way that they chose to present that, I don't think reflects super well on Peterson. Now, whether that's an accurate reflection of the severity of whatever he was dealing with, I'm not sure, but I don't think it was necessarily set up in a way that makes him look particularly great.
Real quick, I want to steer a different direction in the conference for a moment. KU had their weird stretch earlier this year, and another top team is having the same thing, BYU. They did beat Baylor last night, but had that little 4-game losing streak. What do you make of this weird stretch of games for BYU?
Well, I've watched them play a few times. Obviously, I saw them on the 31st when they came to Lawrence. I think one thing that stood out to me about BYU is that their production beyond the big three players has been incredibly inconsistent. And, you know, I mean, some of their additions maybe haven't quite panned out to the extent that was initially thought. I know, like, Ahmed out of the G League hasn't been a huge boon to them. And granted, when your top three players are that good, you can beat anyone. But the you know, everyone talks about how much money BYU spent on this roster, and obviously they need to do that to get to Ponsa. But the money, I feel, was largely spent on those three players. And so any team that lacks a certain level of balance and a certain level of like well-roundedness in terms of having good options to bring off the bench. And I'm not saying that those international players they added are incompetent. Those guys can shoot it, and they've got good size, but they're not having standout performances to save BYU in games like at Oklahoma State or whatever. And by the way, you know, as we're talking, they just got back on track by beating Baylor, and that's a tough place to play in Waco, and especially when one of your top players played there last year and allegedly broke a contract in order to come play for the Cougars. That was a hostile place for them to go, and so they're back on the right side of things, and we'll see if it sets them in the right direction. But yeah, I mean, obviously people are going to be disappointed on the BYU end that the sheer outpouring of resources hasn't led to a better record to this point. But they're back above 500 in conference, and they got Colorado next. So there's a chance for them to build up some more momentum, and maybe given their second chance at a team like Arizona, luck will bounce their way a little bit better. But yeah, it's been a little bit mystifying, I agree, but not everyone in the Big 12 can be one of the top 5 teams. Like it's hyper competitive this year. And at the moment, the Cougars are the team that's been squeezed out.
Henry Greenstein, KUSports.com, our guest here on the Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware Hotline on this Wednesday. You know, when we last talked to you, we talked about this stretch upcoming here, whether it was BYU, Texas Tech, Arizona, Iowa State, with 4 ranked teams in a 5-game stretch. I mean, and how it's gone through the first 4 of these 5. I mean, what do you think Kansas can finish up with, and how much momentum do you think they're going to have going into the postseason? Based upon what you've seen these last few games and what's next on the next 7?
Well, here's the thing. Like, it'll be hard for them to have any more momentum than they do now. But I actually don't think they're at their peak, in large part because they spent so much time playing without Peterson. He was only just starting to play in full games before this one that he totally missed. I mean, he played 35 minutes against Tech and 34 against Utah. No cramping, at least apparently, in either game. It wasn't his best set of performances, but of course, that in mind, he single-handedly wins in the Tech game, back-to-back threes in the final minute, 20 seconds. So, and like, if a bad performance for your player is 14 points on fairly efficient shooting, like that's not too terrible of a position to find yourself in. So all that is to say, they can play better than they are now. Will they have this much momentum for the rest of the year? I don't necessarily think so, because they have a lot of challenges still awaiting them. Now, I mean, at this point, this is a 5-game stretch where people are like, if you can go 3-2, great. Well, they're 4 games into it and they're 4-0. So a win at Hilton on Saturday would be an absolute masterwork. But if they lose, it's not the end of the world considering how well they performed. That being said, it just doesn't get easier in the Big 12. I mean, you go on the road to an upstart Oklahoma State team immediately after that. Now, granted, they did just lose to Arizona State, so maybe put a damper on their tournament hopes a little bit. But they still have pending games versus Houston. That big Monday streak's going to be put on the line again at Arizona, as I said. Those are kind of the most challenging remaining dates after this weekend. But it's not like it's all roses from here on out. So basically what I'm saying is there are a lot of opportunities for them to get tripped up between now and the Big 12 tournament. And I think this team is clearly, based on what we saw for the 1-2 start, capable of handling adversity. But we haven't seen them have to do it in a while. So how well can this team, if they do drop a game at Hilton, prevent one from becoming two and get back on the right track? We'll have to see. But like I said, I'm still very optimistic on them, even if they do slump a little bit this month, because I really feel that with Peterson, they can get to a yet untapped level.
Henry, one more for you. A guy that we have not talked about yet is Flory Badunga, and kind of maybe the unsung hero of this team, but does all the dirty work inside. In your opinion, where has he most improved from last year to this year to be the player that he is?
Well, there's a couple ways you could go with it. I mean, obviously, he's like a significantly more developed offensive player. That's clear in some of the footwork he's displayed around the rim and his ability to, some of those plays he made in the second half, like pivoting around 7-2 Mo Krivas. It's pretty impressive. But the single biggest improvement is his ability to defend guards, get switched on them on the perimeter and stay with them laterally. The thing is, someone like Braden Burries gets switched onto a 5-man, their eyes get wide. They back the ball out. They try to beat him off the dribble. That's a universal thing across college basketball. But guards haven't seemed to learn yet that Badunga is agile enough to counter that sort of approach entirely. This happens again and again. It's how he had a career-high 7 blocks against Utah when Utah's star guard Terrence Brown just tried to go at him again and again and really didn't have a lot of success with it. I think he may have 5 of those blocks might have been on shots by Brown inside. He's so quick laterally, and then if he does get beaten, as kind of happened when Burries crossed him over on that final play with 15 seconds left, he has enough length and leaping ability that it doesn't really matter, because he can sort of, even at 6'10", as he's listed, which may be a little generous, he's probably more like 6'9", 6'8". Even at 6'10", like, his arms are so long that he can easily get to balls in the air that very few can. And, of course, he ends up goaltending a lot of shots as a result. But in this case, he made a game-saving play despite, again, getting beaten off the dribble, which doesn't happen to him very often. So, his ability to do that, players have called it KU's secret weapon this year. That's what allows them to switch so effectively on defense. And Bryson Tiller's gotten better at that too. And that's allowed them to shut down a lot of actions by opposing teams off ball screens and get their defense kind of back to the level that it was in non-conference play. And when you combine that ability on the perimeter with, as I mentioned, the rim protection, it makes for one of the best defensive players in the country. And for a guy to be there as a sophomore is really impressive.
Henry Greenstein with KUSports.com and the Lawrence Journal World. Henry, thank you so much. It's always great to catch up, my friend. We'll do it again soon.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you.
Once again, great stuff there from Henry Greenstein. Interesting article coming up from On3 Sports just here about 20 minutes ago. Says Kansas freshman Darren Peterson has college programs debating their spending after missing his 11th game. One GM asks, is one $3 million freshman worth more than 3 $1 million players who are fully bought in for a season? Interesting question. Yes, I'm sure it depends on like I said, it's not about star power. It's about team. It's a team sport. You need team continuity. You got to have that at some point in time of the season. And that's what you're seeing with Kansas. Without Darren Peterson, they have great team continuity at this point in time. All right, let's get to our final break. We'll come back, wrap up the show with some thoughts on some college hoops wins last night, some upsets as well. Next on the Blitz.
It's back, and it's the most popular promotion of the year. The NWKS Radio Bracket Challenge is here.
In the corner of 3.
Pick up a paper bracket at participating sponsor locations, fill it out, return it, and you could win a stack of cash for your hoops knowledge. No apps, no gimmicks, just bragging rights, buzzer beaters, and a chance to cash in. This year's NWKS Radio Bracket Challenge is proudly brought to you in part by
Zibbelman's Jewelry, the insurance agency, Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware, Fitz's GM Center, and F&B Bank.
Kick off the new year in professional grade style with Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland, Kansas. Right now, drive home a GMC Arcadia with 1.9% APR for well-qualified buyers, or choose a 26 GMC CR1500 and get up to $7,000 in rebates with an eligible trade-in, or 0% APR for well-qualified buyers. Big capability, bold style, and New Year savings you don't want to miss. Start the year strong at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland, Kansas. Shop online at hurlchev.com.
Kick off 2026 ready for whatever winter brings. At Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware in Goodland and Colby, they've got the gear to start the new year strong. Get organized with rugged storage totes. And when the snow starts falling, if it does, power through it with Ego and Craftsman snowblowers. Or if it's just the light stuff, blow it away with Ego leaf blowers. And don't forget ice melt to keep your sidewalk safe all season long. New year, winter ready. Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware in Goodland and Colby. Helpful folks, trusted brands, and everything you need to get it done.
Looking for insurance that actually puts you first? At the insurance agency in downtown Goodland, we're independent, which means we work for you. Whether it's auto, home, crop, or business, we shop top carriers to get you the best coverage at the best price. No pushy sales, just honest advice from people who live right here in your community. Give us a call today at 785-899-5011 or stop by 1020 Main in Goodland and let's get you covered. The insurance agency. Insurance the way it should be.
When you gotta go, but there's nowhere to go, who you gonna call? Topside Portables and Pumping, that's who. Weddings, job sites, farm parties, they've got clean, reliable porta potties that don't stink, literally. And if your septic tank smells worse than last year's chili cook-off, they'll pump it out fast. No mess, no fuss. Family owned, Heartland values, always ready. Call 785-728-8089. That's 728-8089. Topside Portables and Pumping. When duty calls, they answer.
It's the Morning Blitz.
We're having a great time, couple of laughs, everything's nice.
Weekday mornings from 7 to 8 Mountain, 8 to 9 Central.
Last night in college basketball, a few upsets, if you want to call it that.
Oh, yeah.
Nebraska, one of those teams falling at home to Purdue. This was, I couldn't honestly believe the score when I first saw it. I'm not going to lie. I have kind of been blown away by how Nebraska has played at home here over the last couple of games. Nebraska was down 14-1 in this game at one point in time. They trailed by 22 points at another point in time. Somehow, some way, outscored Purdue in the second half 44-28, had to lose in overtime 80-77. Nebraska has lost 3 of its last 4. Purdue's size, once again, was the biggest issue. Size, not being able to rebound for Nebraska, and can't dig yourself a 22-point hole and dig out of that.
Yeah, and I think Purdue out-rebounded them by like 15 as well.
I think it was more than that. I think it was a lot. You're right. Doesn't matter. I think Purdue had 21 offensive rebounds.
Here, it's 54-37 in favor of Purdue.
Yeah. 21 offensive rebounds for Purdue, which led to 17 second chance points. That'll do it. That'll do it. So, but let's see. Nebraska loses. It was Illinois upset at home by Wisconsin. Wisconsin's hot. 92-90 in overtime that game there. UNC, you just beat Duke. They lost to Miami. So, lots of upsets last night.
And how about TCU over Iowa State? That counts in the docket there. But TCU, just real quick, I wanted to say they probably have the weirdest resume in all of college basketball right now. They only lost to Michigan by 4. They beat Florida earlier this year, but they lost to New Orleans and Notre Dame. Makes no sense.
Definitely an odd season for Jamie Dixon's squad. Also last night, K-State women with a win, 70-61 over Oklahoma State last night. And tonight you've got K-State hosting Cincinnati on 100 Point Through the Ride. That's an 8 Central, 7 Mountain time tip, or you can watch on CBS Sports Network. Colorado goes to Texas Tech tonight, 6 Mountain on ESPN Plus, if you'd like to watch that.
High drive, deep left. And back lifts his ball high and deep to right. How about a walk-off Grady? Thomas to the 10. Denver's going on to New England. They win it on the first play of overtime. Mahomes flings it. It's there. Hardman. Jackpot. Kansas City.
Just a few other odds, news, and notes here. Tonight, you've got Fort Hays Tech Northwest men and women on the road at Barton for some basketball tonight. Also, Fort Hays Tech Northwest women's wrestling at the Shadron State Duel tonight as well, up there in extreme northwest Nebraska. USA women's hockey, dominant over Canada yesterday. 5-0. They beat the Canadians. That's usually a much more competitive game.
Not this time.
Not the case. And I think we have a new record set by the NCAA. What do you think we talk about, years of granted eligibility.
I was actually going to bring this up to you. I know exactly what you're talking about.
You can just take it from us. Yes.
9 years for Solomon Tuliapupu, linebacker for Montana. Apparently, he's only played 2 full seasons of college football in his 9 years, though. He was hurt his entire undergrad tenure. I've never seen anything like that.
You only got 1 year for a medical red shirt, not 4.
Well, I think he also had the COVID year, and then you can file for more medical hardship years if you're out for so long. I can understand this one a little more than some of the other deals.
Let me ask you this. Do you think we're going to see a 10th year granted to somebody at some point in time?
I don't think so. I mean, I think they're going to start cracking down on things like this after the crazy year we've had with extra eligibility and stuff. And we just saw Charles Bediako get banished back to the G League from Alabama. So, I think the NCAA is going to get a little stricter. So I don't think so.
9 years. I still can't believe what I'm reading. That's ridiculous. That'll do it for the program today. Thanks, Senior Greenstein. Thanks to you for listening. We're back tomorrow here on another edition of the Morning Blitz. Hope to see you then.